I hope you guys are excited. We have a true legend coming on stage to talk to us a little bit about the golden age of comic books. He got his start in a comic book company called Timely Comics in the 1940s. That would later transition into Marvel Comics. So you got to ask a lot of your questions about how some of your favorite characters got their start. This should be a pretty cool experience. I'm very excited to be able to share this opportunity with you guys. Give it up for Alan Bellman. Woo! Yeah! Come on, let's keep it going, guys. Let's give it a big cheer. Woo! Bellman!
Wait, I gotta bless him first.
If anybody has any questions, there's a microphone right there. Just come up, or you can raise your hand and I'll come to you with a microphone. Either way, but right there we'll know that you need to ask something.
Shall I introduce myself?
Yeah, well, you tell a little bit about yourself, and then the crowd will open up and start asking you some things.
Okay. No hands. My name is Alan Bellman, and I'm an alcohol. Oh, wrong meeting.
Wrong meeting. That's later. That's at 8.
No, the only thing I'm addicted to is my wife
Aww.
and sugarless free soda. Well, I'm going to just open up this little bit of conversation by saying thank you for coming here, but I never knew in 1942 that let alone be the age of 91, that I would be sitting before an audience. And I want you to know that I love you guys because you keep me out of the rocking chair.
Yeah.
I draw for you, not for money, because it's an inspiration, it's an innovation, it's something to do. And I'm going to tell you a little about myself, and then I'm going to open up for questions and so forth, and I hope I have answers. First, I want to introduce my wife. Wait a minute, honey, not yet. She had her own program in Asbury Park, New Jersey, called WJLK, the voice of the Asbury Park Press, and she interviewed Bruce Springsteen while he still played at the Stone Pony in Asbury Park, and he wasn't known as yet. We were in London years later, and we were on a public transportation, and there's a young gentleman, we were in Blackpool, England, and he says to us, this young Englishman who took money, where are you from? We said, USA. He says, oh, no, he says, where in USA? We said, Asbury Park, New Jersey, where we lived. He said, oh, Bruce Springsteen. We knew he arrived at that time. So there's, just stand up, say hello. She thinks she's Wonder Woman, don't tell her differently.
I don't think anyone here would.
Yes, I got my job in 1942, Columbus Day, 1942. I always liked to draw. Wherever there was a white space, I drew. I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. I always wanted to tell a story in pictures. In fact, my father had a bakery store, and I used to draw on the paper bags, and I think I introduced the first commercial bag that you buy today with all our printing and drawing on. So be it. I saw an ad in the New York Times, and it said it wanted an artist to do backgrounds for Captain America. It was Columbus Day. I said to my dad, I'll go tomorrow. He said, no, you go today. I don't know whether I was afraid of rejection, but he says, you go tomorrow, the job may be gone. I went that day, I got the job in 5-10 minutes. I was introduced by Don Rico, who did the Young Allies. He took my work in, came out in the McGraw-Hill building in New York City. He says, you start Monday, and that's the beginning of me.
Wow.
So, and Stanley wasn't there as yet. I worked there about 2 weeks, and I saw this young guy walk behind a gentleman we called Uncle Robbie. I didn't know that he was Stanley's uncle. He was a former ladies' hat salesman. And many of the workers there, the other artists, they thought he was a spy for Goodman, the publisher. He was a little guy who tried to act like an art director, but he sold ladies' hats. What did he know about art? And but I saw him, Stanley, walking behind Uncle Robbie, and this Uncle Robbie would get on my back, get on everybody's back, draw like Macra Boy or Lou Fine, which are other artists of different companies, although, am I keeping you up, sir? Yeah, don't hit him. We have to liven it up some way. Where was I before I rudely interrupted myself?
You were talking
Anyway,
about Stan Lee, I think.
Yes. Stan was walking behind his Uncle Robbie, who was breaking him in. And Uncle Robbie was not really a nice person. He was a little guy with a big complex of Napoleon. And unfortunately, he died at an early age. And Stanley never walked behind anybody else. That's what I could say about him.
Wow, that's nice.
But there's so many stories I could tell you. I'm trying to think of some. Oh, yeah. Stan walks in. I was all of 18. And Stanley walks in one day with a bottle of cough syrup and a spoon in his hand. And I was much of a little bit of a wise guy. I said, hey, Stan, is that the silver spoon you were born with? I regretted that every day. When I see him here and there, I want to say, Stan, I'm sorry, but I hope he forgot about it. But, you know, it was everybody was a character that worked there. We had the illustrators' room, and next to us was the animators' room. We had Jaffe, what's his first name? Al Jaffe, who did Ziggy Pig. He went to Mad Magazine, and he really made a name for himself at the Mad Magazine. He had Ziggy Seal and Ziggy Pig, I don't know. And these guys were only pulling jokes. Al Jaffe, I remember, would creep on his feet into the illustrator's room with a book of matches, stick a live match into a guy's shoe, light it, and that made him happy, giving the guy a hot foot. And the funny thing, he was not even a hothead. But anyway, we were the more serious guys. We didn't fool around. The people I work with, it was Carl Burgos. He sat behind me. He created the Human Torch. Sid Shores, who took over Captain America after Simon and Kirby left. It's a funny thing, I never met Kirby and Simon, and I met Joe Simon in 2007 in Montclair, New Jersey at another con. And I met him for the first time, and I said, thank you, Joe. He says, for what? I said, when you and Kirby left, he says, you left an opening for me. He laughed. Too bad he left us, but that's life, they say. And it was just, you know, it was an exciting thing. Martin Goodman, the publisher, he produced a play. It was called Love on Leave. Everybody had a ticket. And I don't think there was one paid admission, because everybody was like, hey, you, how are you doing? You know, how's the film? Everybody had a ticket. It closed, I think, after a few weeks or a few days. It didn't last very long. But he was good at that. I met a lot of actors and actresses. We had a movie magazine. One day, the editor of the movie magazine, Bessie Little Herman, came to me. She says, Alan, how would you like to go with me to interview a new actress? I says, Bessie, I'm not an executive here. I just can't pick up and leave. She showed me a picture of a beautiful young lady. Her name was Shirley Shrift. Does anybody here tell me what her stage name was?
Shirley Temple?
Shirley Shrift was her real name.
Yeah.
Her real name? What was her name again, dear? Shelley Winters. I saw a thin Shelley Winters at maybe the age of 18 that lived in my neighborhood. So you see, here in America, anything is possible. You could be anything you want. Just don't be on the wrong side. So, you know, working at Timely Marvel was quite an experience. We had cocktail parties for the movie stars. I remember meeting, there was an actress called Carol Landis who made a movie called 1000 BC so many years ago. You guys were too young to remember that. But they introduced Carol Landis to me, and we, you know, it's just another actress, but she committed suicide in Rex Harrison's apartment. Many of you old people know who Rex Harrison, My Fair Lady, and so forth. So, you know, it was an exciting life for me and all, but what could I say, you know? I was so happy I met my second wife, you know. I was married to my first wife, and it just surely didn't work out very well. So after our divorce, she buried 2 husbands after me, and, you know, really, this is true. And somebody said to me, how did I escape? I says, I didn't eat the mushrooms. So, but it's a hard joke to tell, but I'm here, thank God, and I feel blessed. So anyway, I'm going to open up the floor for questions. Oh, I'd like to tell you a story. I was interviewed in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and it was an open interview, and they asked me if I still had the first issue of Superman. I looked up at the guy and I said, would I be sitting here if I did? It brought the house down, and they printed it in a newspaper, which is better than the New York Times. So what can I say? You know, it was an exciting life for me. I don't want to stand still.
You don't have to stand any longer.
Nope.
All right, so if anyone has any questions, they can stand at the microphone, and they...
No, I could just stand right over here. Tell me when I reach the edge. So I'm going to kind of open up. If anybody has questions, I'll try to answer all to my ability. Do we have a guy up front here to ask?
Yes, sir. I have a question about all these Marvel movies that have come out, and
Could you speak a little louder, please? I'm over 50.
The Marvel movies that are out. You've drawn all these characters. What do you think about all these movies, and what's your opinion on them?
We were invited to the first Avenger, and I thought it was great. Since Disney had bought out Marvel, they are making a better movie right now. So Roz and I were in a party after the movie. We were at the El Capitan Theater and on Hollywood Boulevard. You know, you ever have a dream, guys? You think of something and you don't think it could happen? Dream. Because what has happened to me in my life is a dream come true, and I'm very thankful for that. But as to your question, they're doing great, making lots of money, doing a good job, and they don't think too much of us old guys. I wish they would, but I've been invited to San Diego to help celebrate 75 years of Captain America, and I am a special guest. I just had a film crew from Seattle filming a documentary on me for a few days. They were in my house. They cluttered with lights and cameras. And I wonder what my neighbors were thinking, what kind of party we're running. And I hope they could finish the filming in San Diego I'm sure there'll be some kind of award or something like that. But I hope I answered your question about the movies. Thank you so much. Anyone else, please don't be bashful.
So, what was the transition like when you guys went from Timely Comics to Marvel Comics? Like, what brought about that actual light switch being flipped?
What took you so long to ask? It was painless, Shay.
Painless?
We never, see, Marvel, changing from Timely to Marvel was something that's done in the office. It's not for us to know. They were called Atlas. They were called different names. Why? If you sued Marvel, the company of Atlas, and Marvel or the Timely, they were free of the suit. In other words, they had so many names for different companies. So you're going to assume you only could sue one company. Okay, anybody else? Oh, glad you got a line there. Go ahead, speak up loud, please.
Okay, what would you think about a Star Wars Marvel crossover where the Galactic Empire invades the Earth and the superheroes fight them off?
Don't we have enough trouble here now? I'm going to get to that later. To answer your question, what I think doesn't mean anything. What they think, I know Michael Uslan, who was a producer of Batman and Dark Knight. His father and I were in the Lions Club, and Michael Uslan always wanted to be a movie producer. And when his father told him that I worked at Marvel Comics, Michael was going to the college in Indiana, and he wrote an article. He says, when my father told me he knew Alan Bellman, which was me, he went berserk. He loved comics. And when he worked for DC for a while, then he bought the rights for Batman. They laughed at him. His father told me they laughed at him. They said it's been done so many times. But Michael wanted a more serious Batman. And he told me when The Dark Knight came out, which was a huge success, he says, Alan, if my mother and father could look down on me now. That's how well I know him. I don't drop names. If I don't know you, I won't say a word. Okay, thank you so much.
So my little sister grew up watching comics and just reading them. And
Could you speak in the microphone, please?
My little sister's name is Grace, and she taught herself how to draw looking at your comics and trying to copy it the way that you drew. So she texted me and asked if I could ask 2 questions for her. The first one is, what advice do you have for younger artists?
Okay, don't copy comic book characters. You will never learn to draw. You will have to draw from life. Even get a tracing pad. You're going to look at me, copy. That's the way you learn. You trace a face. You will know where the eyes go, where the nose goes, where the ears go, where the chest goes, the anatomy of a woman, the anatomy of a man, animals, fingers, hands. There's so much to learn to draw. When I started, I was green. I was looking at work of Jack Kirby, his early work. It was so crude. We all start off with crude work, but many of us have more talent than others. The creators of Superman, it wasn't a well-drawn, but I was impressed by the style of Joe Shuster, who drew Superman. And it was just a style. I was a kid, still going to junior high school when Superman came out, you know. And he had a talent in his own way. And Jerry Siegel, the writer, he had a good idea. Superman, look what they did. But you just see the job that DC Comics really did a job on both these guys, that they became paupers after a while. But that's another story I can go in later. Now, what was your question again? Okay, I don't remember. You'll have to forgive me after 50, you know. But tell your daughter to draw. Learn how to draw an eye. It's an almond shape, going this way and going this way. Draw a nose with a mouth in 3s. 1, 2, 3, the mouth, the chin. And a woman's face and a man's face. Don't copy comic book figures. I hope that's helped you somewhat.
It definitely did. The second thing that she asked if I could ask you is there a brand of drawing utensils that you like best?
Say that again.
Is there a brand of drawing utensils that you like best?
You know, it doesn't matter what the brand is, it's what you are. You have the talent, you could use anything and that talent will be answered. But I use a dark graphite pencil to draw, which I like to make my drawings dark, startling, and heavy. It's a very soft lens, so you have to be very careful, because you have to keep it clean. Thank you so much. I hope I've been helpful to you. Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir? You talk about all these great artists that you collaborated with. Can you talk about any of the characters you've actually created yourself?
Yeah, I created something called Let's Play Detective, which they still reprint now in hardcover and magazines. But they sneak them in here or there. They don't want to pay us. Well, who cares? It's pittance, you know. But it's nice to know when you see your work reprinted. And I don't know what to say, you know. It's just that we older guys, there's not many of us left. Show some respect for us. But I did get that invitation from San Diego to celebrate 75 years of Captain America. You know, I had a bad day that day. We all have a little days of depression, okay? My son was ill, things like that the family, you know. And all of a sudden, I've got this invitation on my computer for the invitation to go to San Diego as a guest. Believe me, they treat you pretty good. They give you a nice hotel. They're giving me a valet for the entire time that I'm staying there to meet me and my wife at the airport. And it just worked. I just felt good. All that depression went away, you know. See, when you get kind of old, you have to have a motivation to go on. And the motivation are you guys that keep me out of the rocking chair. I draw for you guys. I don't gouge you. I don't care because you are my lifeline. And I talk from my heart. And I want to say to you, just keep it up. Did I answer your question or
Yeah,
not?
you did. Hey, yeah, and just you have any good Bruce Springsteen stories? Because, you know, you lived in Asbury Park. You know, I know that's the Stone Pony and all that.
My wife interviewed him and she erased the tape. I did not let her back in the house for 3 months. No, we never knew. I'll tell you how we knew we arrived. I think I told you the story. We were in Blackpool, England. And we were asked, I'll repeat it, the young gentleman that took the money, and he said, where you from? Well, we said Asbury Park. He says, hey, Bruce Springsteen. We knew he arrived then. But I was a chaperone. My wife, they came to my wife, the young kids from the center, community center. They wanted to put on a dance. They had $200. They needed to borrow $200 from the board. My wife was on the board. My wife said, why don't you hire the band for $200? They said, no, this band for $400 will bring them in from Freehold, Red Bank. These are surrounding towns. They said they will pay back, and they did. But I didn't know who it was. He's just a lot of noise to me. I mean, I was a chaperone. I go around with the flashlight, I open the closet door. Hey, you, what are you smoking? Get out. So, but as more serious, I wanted to tell him, hey, keep it down. But I could do that at home to my kids, but not. But we don't know. We don't know. I finished a script, and I knocked on Stan Lee's door, and it come in, and I went in, and there was a young GI standing there. I just finished the story. I was bringing it to Stan, and he introduced me to a young gentleman, a GI. He says, Alan, I want you to meet, wait a minute, Mike, Mickey Spillane. Okay. Does the name Mickey Spillane mean anything to you? The younger generation, no way. He created a character called Mike Hammer. He wrote a book called I, the Jury. And I'm okay, just another writer in the service. I shook his hand. Little did I know that one day this guy would write a book, either jury, introducing my camera. He played my camera in the movies. And I had a script to do that he brought in. And boy, when we get a script, I penciled it, then we ink it. So I dipped my brush in the ink, and on a script, I wiped the excess ink off on his script. If I had that script today, because Mickey Spillane always claimed he never did a war story, that script I had was called Jap Buster Johnson. We can't use that word Jap anymore. But what can I say? I put ink on it and I threw the script away. So in life, we miss certain opportunities because we don't know. But what I can tell you, this is the United States of America. We could do anything we want. But you got to play it straight because we Americans deserve the best in the world.
Woo!
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
What made you want to create those characters?
Wait. Could you speak a little louder?
What made you want to create those characters?
Could you?
What made you want to create those characters? What inspiration gave you the
Because
Human Torch?
I was a creator. I wanted to create. I created something I can't even take credit for. It's one of the biggest hits in the comic book business, but I can't say boo. I don't want to start a war. I can't prove anything, but in my heart, I know I have good ideas in my head, and I feel good about myself. Yes, money is important, but it can't buy health. But what you guys are doing, you're giving me my health and my vim and vigor to keep on going and making you happy with my work. So I created this Let's Play Detective. The main character was Mike Trapp, and he had a young assistant called Pepper Burns, a play on words. And then you had to turn it upside down to guess how they solved the crime. So I'm going to try to talk to the people at Disney to do this as a TV program. Because all you tune on TV in Disney is the fact it's cartoons, little teeny beboppers or something, and it's nothing new. But I'm going to tell them they can put on a crime program for the whole family, where no bad words, no hideous crimes, just a little bit, and maybe they'll like it, and I hope they do. Now, any more questions? Did I answer you, dear? Did I answer your questions? Okay, thank you.
Hi.
And hi to you. I didn't say anything funny yet.
So it's well publicized that the early comics were all inspired, or many of them were, by the political climate of the day. If you had to write a comic today about the political climate right now, do you have any ideas?
Don't get me started. Well, wait a minute. Don't go away. Don't, get back. You're my kind of person. Would you kind of repeat that again? Because I want to digest it really nicely.
If you had to design a character or a storyline today based on our current political environment, what would it be?
Yes. You want to know a character? Well, we all have different ideas of who we want as president. I know I see the world. I've seen my country with the good days when you could ride to New York on a subway and send your daughter and they'll come home alive. Today, it's a whole different ball game. I fear for my children, I fear for your children, I fear for my grandchildren, and I fear for my country. I'm not up here to do any political talking, but this is the first time in my life that I'm scared. I'm scared of what's going on today. Let's go to Chicago. Okay, you like Trump, you don't like Trump. He has the right to speak. Don't take away your freedom, my freedom. You want to protest? Protest, it's there. But don't get into fist fights and tear everything up that a lot of people come here from other countries. They don't know the American Revolution. They don't know what this country went to gain its independence. Now they want to take it away from us. Don't let them, because I look at everybody. To me, I see people. I don't see color. I see people, and you're all good except if you prove differently. I live in a condo. Not everybody's nice. As much as I want to be nice to them, you just can't penetrate them, you know what I mean? But what I see now, I myself have somebody who's very strong, who I believe could lead this country. A lot of people don't like him. Well, you know, this is why we have freedom. But I want that freedom. I want your children, I want my children, grandchildren to come home from the mall, to come home safe. Don't allow people that'll take jobs away. Yes, I have a granddaughter. It's hard for her to get a job now. But all I say is we are all Americans. You could be anything you want in this country. You could be president. You could be anything. And yet, you know, they want to take that freedom away from us. And I say, don't let them. Do the right thing. Let's keep our freedom. And I came the other time, I was here about an hour ago, and I was shouting, USA, USA. And I came, and I don't know what was going on. But we have people in this country that really, really understand the Constitution of the United States. And I hope you all agree with me, one way or the other. Now, let's get back to comics.
I think her question was, right now, what kind of comic book character could you come up with?
Well, I gotta make an admission, but you know, a lot of guys may boo me. But right now, I drew a sketch of somebody as a superhero, and it hangs in his office on Fifth Avenue in New York City. I drew him as a superhero, but listen, I like Dr. Carson. There's a smart cookie. He understands us. Trump, he's a businessman. He's a manipulator. He won't take any guff. Cruz, I think he pretty much would build a wall too. We have to build a wall, let them come in legally, like my parents did, and maybe your parents did. People came in from Latin America. They ran away from dictatorships. My parents came from Europe. They ran away from pogroms. You know what a pogrom is? When the Russians used to come into the towns of the Jewish people and burn their houses down. They came to America for the freedom. And now we may lose this freedom. So why are you backing a socialism type of government? I see Bernie Sanders. All those kids behind Bernie Sanders. Freebie, give freebie. You can't give money away. You have to work. You have to have an incentive. You've got to work to get up into the world. These guys, if Bernie Sanders got in, these guys would be homeless guys in a few years. So what can I say? I know you may differ with me, but I respect your feelings as well as you should respect mine. Now, I would like to get back to comics.
So, in the comic book work, you got out in the 1950s. Why did you end up leaving comic books?
Well, there was, what took you so long to ask? It was a psychiatrist who wrote a book, Seduction of the Innocent. Dr., what was his name? What's that? Wortham, yeah, Frederick Wortham. And Stanley was packing up he was going to be a salesman. The comic book industry went down the drain because of this. It proved that this guy was really lying. He wrote a book, make money and make a name for himself. If he lived to see what's going on today, when I was a kid, I got out of school, I ran home to listen to Tom Mix, Little Orphan Annie, Jack Armstrong, The American Boy. You know what these kids run home to now? Seeing a man and woman in bed, sex. I never had that privilege as a kid. Now today, kids, hey, teach. When is it, 3 o'clock? When can we get out of here? And then, again, look at the teachers having sex with their students. I'm happy if I got an A or a C. I didn't have that privilege. But what can I say, you know? I've seen a lot in my lifetime. I've seen the good, the bad, and I've seen the bad people. And I even remember John Dillinger, who was a #1 criminal. And Brad Meltzer, you know, many of you don't know Brad Meltzer on television, on History Channel. He writes books. Well, he had a program called, he went back into history and he showed John Dillinger escaping from jail. And I was a kid remembering this. And he said he had a wooden gun carved out of wood. And I said, I wrote him, I said, Brad, I said, it wasn't a wooden gun. It was a gun made out of soap. John Dillinger was a real #1 criminal. And he carved the gun out of soap. And I said to Brad, you know, you spend so much money. How can you get the wrong information, you know? So what can I tell you? I was a wise guy kid, so I corrected him. Any more oh, I got somebody here. I'm sorry.
No worries. Hi there. You get guys like yourself and Carl Burgos and Stan Lee all working together. And now we know you guys are legends. Did you know that there was anything special going on when you were actually working together? Or did it just feel like a job?
Could you be a little more specific on that?
Yeah. Was there something, did you feel like there was real magic going on in the work you guys were doing together then? Was it something that you felt like was just a job, or do you feel like this is something that might last?
Well, we were always afraid of a job because I was married at a very young age, at 20, and I had a family soon after that. And we try to, you know, keep our nose clean and do the best we can. And could you kind of rephrase? I'm trying to think of how to answer your question.
Yeah. Did it feel like it was just a job for you guys, or was it something?
No, it was not just a job to me. I was doing something I always wanted to do. It's tell a story in pictures. And you know, I loved it. I did anything Stanley gave me, from science fiction to westerns, love stories, crime stories. Anything he gave me, I did. But I hated to do horses. And we used to fake it a little bit. When a horse was running, we put a lot of smoke under the feet, so to make you believe there's smoke. But we were really hiding the fact that we couldn't or didn't want to learn to draw. But I'm looking back at my old westerns. I said, that looks good. Because I wanted to draw a horse right. I had pictures of horses, and I copied them, made them look good. And I always try to do the best I can. So I don't know how else to answer you, you know. Working there to me was beautiful. I was a hero of the neighborhood, you know, and had the first television after the war. And, you know, what can I say? You know, it was just a good life, and it's a good life now. I never thought I'd reach 91, let alone talking to you lovely people out here. You know. That's the only answer I can give you.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on. Do we still have time?
We have about a minute left.
Anybody else for 1 minute? Would you step up to the, please?
So I do have a question. How did you meet your lovely wife?
Oh.
What took you so long to ask?
Well, I'm standing on a street corner waiting for the... And then all of a sudden I hear a little voice say, "Mister, would you take me across the street?" And she gave me her hand, and when it turned green, I held on to her and crossed her and never let her go. And if you believe that, I'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge.
$20.
No, we met in a bowling alley. She bowled me over, and ever since that time, I didn't let her go. And like I say, she is orders my medication before I need it. I ask her. She's ironing at 11 o'clock, ironing underwear. I mean, nobody sees that, but she is ironing my underwear and my shirts, and God bless her for being part of me. And I want to thank you all for being here. I don't know what else to say, but again, please let's do the right thing come election day. Please, let's bring back our country the way it was.
All right, let's give Alan Bellman a big round of applause for the Golden Age of Comics Q&A panel. Woo!
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.